And we're live. Welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Insiders here on Reality Pop. We are back to talk about episodes 18 and 5. So, episode 18 for the Challenge 37 and episode 5 for All Stars. And I've got with me today again my great co hosts, Drew and Chantel. Chantel, how have you been?
I've been great. I'm realizing that it's the end of the year and like an end of a lot of shows next week. And just like a lot's coming to an end. And I'm really hoping that 2022 is going to be better than these last 2 years have been. But I'm in pretty good spirits. I'm happy to finally be concluding this season or this season 37 of the challenge. I'm happy that that's finally going to be concluded. And there's been a lot of gossip going on in the ethers about this season. So that will be
Oh,
fun to
really?
talk about as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I guess get into that a little bit because I don't know anything about it, and I probably will forget about it if I'm going to be directing where the talk is going to go. What gossip is out there at the moment, Chantel?
Well, basically, one of the biggest ones is that Jemmy on her Patreon dropped some tea that she learned from Jordan from when they were on All Stars 3 together about the breakup with him and Tori. And so Jemmy drops this for her Patreon, and then Tori is pissed because apparently it was kind of some of it were lies or false truths. So Tori comes back and is like, no, this isn't true, and this isn't true, and she kind of clears the air and has her own little face or Instagram live press conference. And then after that, then Jordan also goes live to kind of corroborate Tori's story, but I don't know. Right now, I'm thinking that Jordan is the one that is kind of making the biggest mess out of this, because I think what he told Jemmy was true, because he also told other people that were on the season of All Stars about what, like, the same thing. And he did give Jemmy the go ahead that she can go and profit on her Patreon about it. But then after it came to, came to air, he's now siding with Tori, being like, oh, I never said that. And no, I didn't. Oh, I didn't know she was going to do that. So that's some of the tea that's going on.
Jordan putting his foot in his mouth, unheard of. Like, I mean, he's normally such a eloquent person with his words and never gets caught into any of these kinds of conversations when he's on the challenge. But sounds quite interesting. I am looking forward to seeing what happens on All Stars 3 because we might even get a little bit more, I guess, information as the season plays. But that's so far into the distant future at this point. I do want to go over to Drew and welcome Drew on the show as well. Drew, how have you been, and how's things going on that end there? And do you have anything to add to some of the tea that's been spilled? I saw you were in a vigorous agreement there as Chantel was letting us in on it.
So I'm doing well. I think I hit like a wall today and I was super exhausted. I think it's just that like slump, that like last stretch for the final part of the season. The ending is like right around the corner, and I just felt like I was just exhausted today. But I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here, and I do have a little bit more rumors and speculation because the challenge did put out an X's like, oh, what if there was another X's season? Now everybody who has an X is just like piping up. You have Natalie getting into fights with Amanda, talking about how she hooked up with Fessy and all this other stuff. So everybody is coming out of the woodwork. So X's all over the place. And my only thing is, like, I feel bad for these people because, well, I don't feel bad for them, but it's just like, if the challenge is saying that they're going to like ask people if they want X's, I mean, the challenge doesn't really take suggestions or requests. So them just like stirring the pot, being like, who would like another X this season, and everybody pops up. It's like, do we really think? I mean, no, I don't think there's gonna be an X season right next season or even the next 2 seasons. But I would love it, especially since it's making everybody so like shady and calling everybody out on Twitter. Theo is talking up about maybe being partnered up with Cam, and then Joss and taking out Joss and Amanda. I mean, let's do this. This is already messy. I would love to happen.
So messy, and like I want to see all these couples go head to head. Like this, I want to see this. If we're gonna have to get Josh back, like if he's like maybe partnered with Georgia, that's not. I can deal with that maybe.
Really, would that count as exes? Like, I felt like that was very.
Oh, it's like if you kiss somebody on a season, they're your ex. Like
really.
2 couples I really want to see, and that is Cara and Kyle being partnered up with each other, because let's do it. And that's how we get Kyle on the season. And then we also have Bananas and Morgan. as partnered up with each other. And
Oh,
then
they
I would
won't
love
do
to see
that.
Jordan and Tori, but that's
No.
probably not going to happen.
No,
But
no.
let's just make it all messy. Let's just make it the absolute mess. Like exes and rivals have always been like, are they really rivals? Are they really exes? Yes. Let's make them all really horrible history exes, and let's just watch the house burn, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would,
Oh,
I
I'm
would
all here
love
for it.
it.
I'm here for X's and I'm here for rivals. I want to see a little bit of extra spice in one of these challenge seasons coming into it. We've been getting a little bit of it on All Stars too, because there's been different factions that are formed that are going head to head, which I've really enjoyed. But the Challenge 37, I think I'm on the same boat as you guys. It's been a long season. It's been a marathon. There's been some good moments. I have enjoyed the season as a whole. But if you think about it, it's maybe just that little bit too long and it's dragged, because we've always known that the end of the season, we're going to have these vets at the end. And I mean, it even so happens we only get one rookie going into this finale, which is a pretty good achievement for someone like Emmy to be able to make that in a season that was so tight with vets looking out for each other this whole season. Just before we get into the episode, I do want to say hello to the lovely people here in the live tonight. We've got Sudani Speak saying, happy Friday, y'all. And happy Friday to you as well. Adrienne saying the tea this week is a mess with a bunch of S's at the end of it. Dolores, welcome back as well. Yay, it's Friday. Good to see everyone. And the Hangout Room saying, hey, hey, hey. And if I remember correct, I think the Hangout Room, you might be South African as well. I'm pretty sure you've said great to have South Africa represent. But if I misremember that, please forgive me. But welcome. It'll be good to know if you actually are listening from South Africa or not. Guys, let's get into this first part of the finale episode. And we both, or all three of us, had a lot of different speculation and theories out there about what this night of eliminations could mean. And at the end, it is all revealed. We're going to have a vote. We're going to have one female and we're going to have one guy go down into the lair, and they're going to have to fight for their spot in the finale, and they get to choose who they go up against, which I really, if we weren't going to see everybody go down there and have to fight for a spot in the finale, I like the fact that they at least got some power in choosing who they were happy to go against in the elimination. But we finally see a vote taking place here, and both Emmanuel and Amanda, they're going to be the two people that are going to get voted in there. So Emmanuel, finally, it was I don't know how to say this correctly, but he was woke by this whole thing, because he thought he had all of the social capital and the strong strategic game this whole season, and in one swell move it just got ripped away from him, and he realized it was never his social game to begin with. He was always a pawn in the vets game, and finally all of them turns against him. But hats off to Emmanuel for, he wouldn't have known what he was going to go up against and what the challenge was going to be going down there. But hats off for him to turn back and take a swing at Devin in this situation, who has been gassing him up this whole season and working with him.
But, like,
I
really
enjoyed it.
though? Because like he was like saying that everybody's a chicken for not calling him out. So why didn't he call out CT or call out somebody else that like he wasn't like a chicken about? And so I thought it was pretty like a weak move, considering he was like blaming Kyle for not wanting to go up against him. Like it just was just like, whatever, Emmanuel, you're gonna take Devin. Sure, like I get it. You want to win, you want to stay, and I understand that move, but like for somebody that was calling somebody else out for like taking the easier route, I thought it was rich. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, and I think it shows just how little capital he has, or a little pull that he has with the vets, that Emmy got no votes, even though she was the rookie on the women's side. And then it was like a no-brainer for everybody else to vote in Emmanuel. So I think it just shows that he was partnered up with Casey, who was strong and had a lot of social cues. And I think he really benefited by like holding on to her cape the rest of the whole season, and being on the Emerald team and being pretty much can't be picked throughout the whole, like being chosen for an elimination and the Seafoam Alliance. So he was just at the right place at the right time with the right people. But when push comes to shove, he was not going to be the one that's not going to be thrown in. Like he's always going to be the one that was getting voted in. So I thought it was interesting that when talking, he seemed so sure of himself, but when the truth is, no, he didn't have anything going for him except for he knew some people, and even Casey was like, yeah, I'm just gonna vote for him. Like,
Yeah, and I
there's
mean,
no reason not to.
two things I want to address. So, firstly, I think I hear what you're saying. We want him to pick the big guy, go for CT and
I
all
don't
that.
want him
I
to,
think,
but he was calling out other
yeah,
people,
and I hear
so
you.
I want
I
him to
hear you.
live up to what his mouth was saying. But go on.
Yeah, but I think he made a petty personal decision there because Devin betrayed him, and he was like, you know what? If you're going to betray me, I'm going to take you down there. And I've got to say, seeing the look of death on Devin's face before he went down there, and how just down he was so sweet because he's been so scared this whole time of going down there, and he was obviously very confident afterwards. You know, I knew to have this perfect season, I would have to go down there and win one. Don't lie to us, Devin. You never wanted to go down there. In hindsight, you're happy that you went down there and it was a puzzle and you could win and put yourself into the next round, but you never wanted to go down there. And then secondly, just wanted to address the Casey one. Hats off to Casey. This is why she's a good game player. She knows when to make what move, you know, like turn against Emmanuel, right move in that situation. You're not going to piss off all the vets who probably has a better shot at being back there next season and have got better allegiances with other people that could bite you in the backside if you come back for another season. So hats off for her to turn her back there on Emmanuel in that position. But overall, I was happy to see Emmanuel having to go down there again. I was happy that he finally realized he wasn't the mastermind this season like he thought he was. And he ended up losing here. But what happened down there with Tori, was pretty interesting to watch. You know, Tori trying to give him information on that second puzzle to help him out. And the things that happened there in regards to her being called out by Nelson about, you know, trying to help Emmanuel down there and things like that. I think there's a lot that we can dissect. And I'm very interested in what your opinions are about Tori helping Emmanuel out opposed to Devin. And if you think it's right, or do you think she should have just stayed quiet because she's both friends with Devin and obviously there's something going on with her and Emmanuel?
She should have kept her mouth shut. This is what Tori does. What were they saying? Typical Tori. Like, this is typical Tori. She wants everybody to like her, wants everybody to, you know, want to be her friend or whatnot. And then she always has to turn her back to somebody else, and she puts herself in these really bad situations. Like, yeah, I get it. You want to have both these people come back, but just keep your mouth shut, because you voting for yelling and cheering for one means that you're yelling against the other person. So they're going to be mad, and seeing that you're going to be wishy-washy, that you don't really care for one of them to come back for sure over the other. So it just was like, I was like, Tori, just be quiet. I was impressed that she figured out that the number combination for the second math puzzle was 15. It is a typical puzzle, to be fair. They even did a similar one on All Stars 2 where they had to match up in segments of 15. So that's usually like the answer when you're adding up to 9, or like numbers up to 9. And so I was still surprised that she was able to figure that out, considering we don't consider Tori to be very smart, especially mathematically. So she has that I'm kind of giving her props for, but I was so annoyed with her. I was just like, shut up.
Yeah, I agree. If you want both players to win, or you don't know who you want to win, or you're in a rock and a hard place, you just stay neutral, you stay quiet, and you just let the best player win, or the person most deserving to win. And it seemed as though that Emmanuel was having very tough struggles on the second puzzle. And to me, you're about to go into the finals. If you're going to go into the finals, you want somebody who is going to be able to help you out in puzzles. If you're going to be partnered up, if you're going to be in a cell or something to that effect. So why would you want to help Emmanuel out, who is really struggling on the last 2 puzzles? Why would you want to help him out to get you into the finals? Maybe you're partnered up, maybe you're in a cell with them. And then what's going to happen? And you're looking for him to finish a puzzle. Maybe there's going to be individual puzzles that you can't help your teammate or something with. So to me, it was like, just let them do their thing. And then whoever wins, that's the best person to win. And they earn their spot into the final, instead of asking for help or trying to give them help for what you may not be able to help them in the finals, or they might not be able to help you in the finals. So that's where I was looking at it. But yeah, kind of like when Devin was having to go and watch Kyle versus Josh, and he didn't know who to root for. So he decided not to root for anybody or against anybody. And that would have worked in this situation as well.
100%. Love by You here says that, I'm sorry, her and Nelson fighting was hilarious. Nelson can't wrap his head around disloyalty. And that is very true because Nelson stays loyal here to Amanda as well. When Amanda gets voted down, the only person not to turn his back against Amanda. And, love him or hate him, I know that I've come around on Nelson on some things. I know sometimes he can really put his foot in his mouth and he can come around a little bit of a misogynist towards some of the women and things like that. I do agree that happens. Yeah, but you can't help but like Nelson when he shows this side of him. Like, we're all multidimensional human beings. He's got to work on that side of it. But definitely great to see him not turn his back here on Amanda, because one of those women that he was fighting with this whole season was Amanda. But it shows that even though he's been fighting with her and her loyalty that she had with Ashley throughout the season, and he didn't like that, he still wasn't going to turn his back on her here at the end. It was good to see, and very shocking to see everybody sort of turn against Amanda here, opposed to a rookie who they sort of, their strategy this whole season has been, we're going to go against the rookies. And I do think that it shows a bit of a selfish nature, probably strategic and selfish. Let me give them some strategic props for this, and voting to get Amanda down there, because no one wanted to be partnered with her going into this finale, and they were afraid that she could cost them the potential money at the end. That's what I kind of picked up from it. What was your thoughts, guys, on Nelson staying loyal and Amanda ultimately going down there above any of the rookie that is still available at this stage?
I wasn't surprised that Amanda was the odd person out. Like, they didn't want her to be on Emerald. They wanted to have her and Big T to be the anchors that held down the other two teams. So they didn't really respect her, and they never wanted to be running the final with her. So I think she was always going to be expendable at this point in the game if they had an opportunity just to cut the fat. What I was most surprised with is that the producers gave them a physical elimination between Amanda and Tori in the end. So I was impressed that she called down Tori. I'm sure she was hoping that she would have some sort of puzzle that she would be able to maybe dominate and beat Tori in. But the fact that Tori has probably like 40 or 50 pounds on Amanda and like 4 inches height, it just seemed just an unfair match. Like, the fact that she could just like lift her up and go and get the ball and go dunk it. Like, I was just like, that's not really entertaining to me when you could see somebody that doesn't have a shot really at winning an elimination here that's so important. So that surprised me. I heard through the grapevine that the producers wanted Tori to win, and they also put a puzzle down there in case they sent CT down there, so they'd give CT the best advantage to win. That's what the rumors say. And I'm just like kind of annoyed that there's producers that are really trying to shove Tori down our throats. We're not fans. Leave us alone.
Yeah, I love that Nelson stayed by Amanda's side. I was very happy about that. I know why everybody did it. It's kind of like I'm doing a full rewatch of the challenge series, and I finally got up to season 21 Rivals, and there was a part in Rivals where Tyler says that on the challenge, when there's a bandwagon going downhill, you just jump on it and you just go for a ride. And that's basically what these votes are. Also, if you vote somebody down and they come back, I mean, they have to choose from so many other people, because it was going to be swapped to where everybody's going to have to vote the guys in. So if all the guys just jumped on the same person and they happen to come back, well, now they have to pick which guy they have to choose from. Kind of how Tori voted for Nelson, because Nelson voted for her in the first round. But I'm glad he didn't succumb to the pressure. He was going to stay with his ride or die with Amanda. I wish he got more votes. I wish it was closer, but I really don't like the physical elimination. I get why they did it. It was a replay of season 33's drone drop ball, almost the exact same title and everything. But it was rather boring. Both eliminations weren't very fun to watch, in my opinion. I get why they were doing it, but it was clear to see from the matchups, and after hearing the descriptions of the game, I already knew how it was all going to play out. And I was kind of just like, all right, this is 35 minutes of the episode. Can we just like wrap it up with Devin getting the answers to all the puzzles and rushing through them, and Tori scoring all the baskets? So let's just run through this so we can finally get to the finals. And it was the last 20 minutes that I was the most excited for out of this episode.
Well, a few people here in the chat saying that Amanda had to go back home and that they wanted her to go home. She was 3 weeks over, potential contempt of court if she didn't go back. And I've seen somebody else here earlier say, I think it was Sam as well. Apparently, Amanda, through the elimination, of course, she had to be with her kid by July 1st. So interesting to see these things, because if there's $1 million on the line and you're that close to the end, surely you wouldn't want to go home. But I mean, I don't know the behind the scenes. I think that the challenge she went up against Tori, that was just in Tori's wheelhouse. Tori was always going to win it. Amanda was never going to physically, even if she wanted to win that, she was never going to physically perform better than Tori. And I will give Tori some credit here. I know some of us have been hard on her this season. We've been, liking her at some stages, not liking her at other stages within the game. But she does go over to Amanda and show some real good sportsmanship and saying, hey, good effort, you played well, type of thing. I really enjoy seeing that type of thing personally, as someone that has competed in sport quite a lot in my life. Like, we always, like in rugby as well, you go afterwards, you shake the opponent's hand, no matter how much you hate them, you leave it on the field, you leave it there. And I do appreciate seeing something like that. Now, is it an act? I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but it's good to see.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like some of us.
Like,
some
I
of
think
us
it was
are.
phony. I'm sorry. Like, I do appreciate the short sportsmanship in general, but just like Tori going over to Amanda, like, yeah, you called me down, but like, it just was a little condescending to me, just because there's no way that physically Amanda was going to be able to take down Tori unless she was able to like maneuver her, and which also Tori has longer legs, so she's going to be faster. So I thought it was condescending, but I hear what you're saying, Chris. I'm a little bit more cynical towards Tori, to be fair.
Drew, you can break the vote here. Did you like it, or do you think it was an act?
Personally, I don't really.
It's hard
care
to give any
if it was
credit to Tori, right?
Act or not, like it's really tough to do that. I think she was genuine in that moment, saying good job. But if she would have lost, I don't know if she would have been that like close to be like, all right, good job. But that comment really pisses me off. I mean, we were talking about how long the season is and how tired we are from just doing this for like 4 months or 5 months, which I love doing this, but it's a long season, and
absolutely
to be in the game playing the season and then also having to go back into quarantine, it's like this is a reason why we need to shorten the seasons, or at least shorten the filming time, because if we're having players that have to leave so close to the final, like she played the whole game, she won in elimination, she got to this point, and she has to leave because of production ran too long. It's like, all right, maybe not have 36 players on the cast and not be doing this for 4 months. I mean, these are players that have families and kids and maybe other ventures at home. I don't know. It's really frustrating knowing how well All-Stars is with only a few weeks film production wise, and then coming to Challenge 37, which has such a long filming, and then people have to bow out because production ran way too long. It's just frustrating. It's so frustrating, because what could we have gotten if this was like not trying to play towards Tori or CT or Devin, and players didn't have to be like, well, I'm not going to give it my all because I have to leave anyways, kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah. It's just frustrating.
That's so annoying.
I read another comment on my Tiny Table Talk that got me frustrated, that I don't know if anybody has going into the finals, but there's a portion of the finals that I was just like so frustrated hearing too.
Wait, what?
Elaborate on it. Like, you can't leave us hanging.
So with the checkpoint number 3, with the wires going to the wires and stuff, apparently CT and Devin were the only two that could figure it out, and everybody took like 45 minutes. So production had to step in and like give hints to everybody to finally get the ball rolling. And that's when Tori finally got it. That's when Emmy got it, and then everybody else just followed through. So
okay, that pisses me off big time, because
that was from the Challenge official podcast, by the way. I guess Tori said it. Tori was the one that mentioned it, from what I read from the comment, the person who listened to the official Challenge podcast. So that's where the source comes from.
Okay, well, the reason why that irritates me is that okay, this is kind of jumping ahead, but to speculate on what's going to happen, if those cells are going to be competing against each other, like that could have been reconfigured differently and people's fate could have been completely changed if it was like, if they didn't get any hints. And I think that it's completely unfair, especially if there's going to be a new twist and
It's match fixing.
You're
basically,
yeah,
you're
like
match
the
fixing
orders
because that
determined.
team is ridiculously stacked when you look at them. You know, having CT, Devin, Tori, and Emmy all in that same team. I mean, you probably could have moved Emmy out for Casey and you would have still had a very strong team. But
well,
in
probably
general,
not Casey, because she's even with the hint, she
struggled
dead last.
but in a team scenario, I think like if you only need to run and you need to do the physical stuff, you don't have to worry about a puzzle. I think she would do pretty well. But that team is so stacked at the moment, and this does not help with the rumors when people say, "Oh, you know, we're doing a certain elimination. If CT gets thrown down there, he can save himself on the puzzle, or you know, we're going to give CT the best chance at winning here by giving him very strong partners." If what is going to happen is going to happen, it's sounding like they will have the losing cell go down and do an elimination against each other. That's what I'm getting from this. And there's a very good chance that they're not going to be the losing cell. Looking at that cell, I mean, you've got Nelson and Kyle, Casey and Nani and the other one, where how does that cell beat the other cell? Like, I just don't see a world where that's going to happen in. So yeah, this is very annoying to hear, and I hope that there's no truth to it. But if it's on the official podcast, then maybe there is, and I'm hoping that they all got the same hints at the same time, at least, so they can figure it out at the same time, because that would be the other part of it.
I don't understand why they didn't just do a timeout, or like if you get to your puzzle first, that means you got the time advantages in the other puzzle, you got up the hill faster than everybody else, and if you had a 30-minute to 45-minute timeout, then whoever got to their puzzle first could have ran off. So if Tori got to the puzzle third, she could have started running off. I think that's fair than saying, oh, we'll give you a hint, and then that's what jumpstart somebody could possibly getting a leg up or whatever kind of thing. So I don't understand why they wouldn't have just done that instead, when that could have been easily better, in my opinion, than somebody giving a hint. Or I don't know how many hints did they give them. I don't like this question mark of juggling questions and stuff. Like I don't understand. I don't like it.
Yeah. Or we need production to sometimes. I think the problem that we have here is that the amount of fans that are like us that really dive into the source and get into it and that are very passionate to this level of the show is a lot less than the casuals. And the casual fans out there, they don't care that much. Like, give me CT as a winner. I'm okay with that. It's a reason why, me personally, I've never understood WWE and why it's so big over in America, because it's all fixed. We know it's fixed. We know who's going to win. It's all planned, but people still love watching WWE and seeing their favorites win when they watch it, right? So I don't know if it is just a cultural thing where people don't care, like, and it's big in America because people love the entertainment more so than it being a fair competition. I don't know if that translates to the challenge, and if CT being this big favorite, if he still wins this season, it's going to be seen as a good season no matter how he got there. And I'm asking it as an outsider, as someone that's international, that does not live there and is completely ignorant.
I don't understand.
So Drew, this is to you, I guess, since you're the closest
Wait,
person
do you like wrestling, Drew?
I've watched a fair share of it. I don't know if I'm like a huge fan, but I do like the theatrics of it. I like the playing up. It's fun in the way that if anybody goes into it, they know what they're getting. They know that what's to come. They know that this is all a show and a production, and everybody is an athlete of some sort, but it is all for play and theatrics. So when you're coming into it, it's for drama, it's for everything, but you know that the matches are going to end up, and they've written it all out. They've done all their moves, and they know the choreography and how to play up to the crowd. When it comes to like the challenge, nobody's really coming into it thinking that it's like, or you shouldn't come into it thinking that production is like waving a magic wand, kind of pushing and nudging. I mean, we've seen or heard some stories about possible things behind the scenes, but you kind of wish that they wouldn't do this, and you would want more clarification and everything. But they still got to put on a show, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. I can't believe the challenge like gave a thumbs up to that podcast episode, going like, yeah, just leave it all in. Yeah, we definitely helped them. Just tell them that we gave them hints. Like, all
They're
right,
clearly
cool.
not listening. They clearly don't have control over the people that is doing the podcast, and
Yeah.
anything goes at this point. But I do want to bring this up since we've jumped ahead and it is going to be a little bit all over the place. And I like for the chat to be organic. We've got these two cells that have been put together now, and we all think most likely the orange, I think it's the orange cell, right? The one that Casey and Nani is in, is going to be the bottom one. Do we see this Casey and Nani elimination coming up? How satisfying will it be seeing these two go against each other to see to get to the who gets to the final? And will we see Nani fall on her sword here and step away for Casey so 100%. She can continue? Because Casey's not doing it.
100%. Nani is like, I can't fight her. I've gone to so many of this. She has a better chance of winning than I have of winning. I'm gonna, like, Casey, you do this for us. Like, you can win this. And they're not going to. I mean, maybe they'll like fake scrap, but like I don't think that Nani would be putting her all in to like try to win. I don't know what the actual competition is going to be, but I really can't see Nani not falling on her sword.
Yeah, especially with how the finals has started for her, getting 8th place in the checkpoint 1, getting 7th place in checkpoint 3, and also the whole story arc of Casey's finals run last season being cut short because of an injury. It was such a quick turnaround. She was able to play the whole game and then get to the finals again for a 3rd straight season. I just don't think that, even in a puzzle, I don't think that Nani would try to beat her. I mean, she might not like quit, but she might just like fling around puzzle pieces or whatever, just being like, oh, it doesn't fit. Like, I tried my hardest, kind of thing. But I don't think it's gonna be satisfying at all.
You get this for us, babe. I believe in you, babe.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you know what though, with this whole like the narrative of them, like, you know, I want to run this final with you. I want to run it with Casey, and like that's kind of over and over again. I just feel like they're not going to end up running the entire final together. And even there was one comment this episode where they're like, yeah, we're going to cross the finish line together, and Nani's like, well, I'll be ahead of you, but like, yeah, we'll cross together. And I feel like that was put in there because they will not both cross the finish line together, and it will probably just be Casey. And I still think that Casey's going to find a way to win this season. I
really do.
I do. I still think she's
so
find
if
a way.
if Casey gets there, it's going to be interesting because I kind of started getting a feeling like it could be Tori based on the last couple of episodes. I feel like she's the top female competitor going into the final. The story revolves around her. There was a lot of people think that I can't do this without my man or the man that I've had. And I was like, she's talking to me directly because I've so many times on this podcast said, Tori, you're over your prime. You were doing better when you were with Jordan because he was training you like a mad person, you know? So it just spoke to me when she said that. And I'm like, maybe she is going to go out there and actually win this final. But I guess they are going to be like, I mean, they're not going to have to go physically up against each other. So it's going to come down to who's the better runner between the two and who sucks less at puzzles. And I think that Tori sucks less at puzzles than Casey. I think Casey's got a real big obstacle to overcome in regards to that.
The only thing though, like I totally agree, and I could see Tori winning, and like I was thinking this was a possibility a few weeks ago. I was like, is she getting a winner's edit? I'm like, oh goodness. But I'm wondering though if they're going to do some portions where they're going to be paired up together, and maybe that's how Casey and say CT are paired up together, and they can like power forward and get really a big head start, and maybe they're going to start doing some time stuff or whatnot. I just feel as though it's a potential that she's going to be able to get ahead. But I totally agree with you. Tori is doing better this final.
David's got Kyle's back. He said Kyle's there for the upset. So Kyle has to get past Nelson first in this next round. Like it's going to be interesting to see Nelson and Kyle go up against each other in an elimination. Drew, have they ever gone up against each other in an elimination before? Because both have got pretty decent elimination records. I think Nelson might just slightly pip him on elimination win percentages at this stage, but Kyle's no slouch in the eliminations either.
I don't think they've been against each other, but I think Nelson would get a little bit of the upper hand on there. It seemed as though that in the reflection episode or the reflection period right before heading to the finals, it felt like the camera was really leaning on Nelson as he was talking about his mother, as he talking about what he would do with the money. And
in the ice bath?
in the ice bath. Yeah,
talking
well,
to his
talking
legs and Tori at the same time.
Yeah,
So,
and
what an
then
awkward moment. You know, the
was
producers were
so
like,
weird.
Tori, can you go talk to him right now? We got
Yeah,
need to
Tori
get
just
this on
coming here, he's
camera."
talking to himself.
And can I just say the editing was really weird this episode, because at one point when Amanda was voted into the lair, we had a cut to Nelson saying, "Oh, don't pick Tori because of petty nonsense. Pick somebody who hasn't played the game. Pick a rookie." But to me, if that was a confessional that happened at that time, or if he was talking about that specific time, he wouldn't say rookie. There's only one rookie that she could choose from, and he would have said pick Emmy. Which, why would he say that? That doesn't make any sense. She's 1-4. So to me, it was just like
plus his haircut.
It should have been pick Nani.
He had a cleaner cut.
Nani.
He had a cleaner cut in one of those confessionals as well, where I'm like, this is the beginning of the season 100%, because his hair, he's had some hair growth this season since then. So they did some shenanigans and who they got in there to do the confessionals, or when they did certain confessionals, and they chopped it in to make it sound good for this specific scenario. But what I've definitely picked up with Nelson is they're trying to make him seem a lot smarter than what he is in those confessionals, which they do to a lot of people, let's be honest. But they're pushing a certain narrative there. They're pushing a certain narrative with him and his mom, why he's trying to do it. And then Nani, on the flip side, she had a confessional where she said, I wanted this season more than any other season. And then they cut her off before she can say why. So clearly it doesn't matter that she wants it more, because we don't even know. They don't want us to care about why she wants it more this season than any other season. So there's a clear narrative being pushed. And then CT, obviously, his narrative is, I want to go back-to-back. I might get the back-to-back win here for the first time. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's just, I don't know if I've seen Chantel Casey's storyline this season yet on why she finally wants or gets, like she said, yes, I feel like I've done the work. I feel like I deserve it this time. But I kind of feel like I've heard more about Tori wanting to prove something here than Casey, really. And yeah, it's a strange one. You know, obviously they're my girls. They're both still in my team. They're the only two people I've got left going into the final. So if either one of them wins, I get a champion, at least in my team for the season.
Okay, then we want Emmy to win. No, just kidding.
Chris can't have anything.
No, who's the other person? Nani. I have Nani. Right? I think.
Yeah, I think so. We can
Nani's
go into
not
that
winning. We know that.
now.
At all. Nani's not winning. I guess you're definitely right, but the fact that I think that the storyline for Casey hasn't started yet. I do feel as though that cell, the orange cell, is going to go in. We're going to have the moment where Nani falls on her sword to a certain extent to allow Casey to run the final. Then Casey can finish that sentence being like, I need to run this final. I need to do this for me, do it for Nani, do it for our relationship. And then she's going to have the fuel in her tank to be winning it for two of them, for herself and Nani to have a future together. So I'm sure that her finishing her reasons why will happen after she beats Nani. That's my thought.
Can I just say one thing about Nani and that confessional is, where was that last season when your friend of 10 years said he was done with the challenge, he was over the challenge, he was going to retire, he chose you after having a very nice speech about being your friend for 10 years, and he wouldn't want to run this final with anybody else than a true friend. Yet last season you put in autopilot, and then this season, for some reason, you're like, oh yeah, this is the final I want. This is the one that it's like, where was this last season? See you later. Have fun getting kicked off this final. I'm already thinking that the orange team is doomed, and she's heading out.
They kind of, I don't know if they're trying to misdirect us, though. They made it seem like we're going to be shocked, and it's actually going to be the purple team that is, because we hear CT yelling at Emmy, being like, Emmy, come on, hurry up, or something like that. I don't know if that's later on or whatnot, and they're going to be carrying some sort of really awkward, heavy piece. So, and Devin definitely is an anchor for their team endurance-wise. So I'm wondering if maybe there'll be an upset there, and it will be a CT versus Devin, Tori versus Emmy type sitch. It's possible.
Did
I only
CT
worry
make
because
the right
they're
decision?
doing team puzzles. That's what I think. They're doing team puzzles the whole time. So to me, they have all the puzzle people. So they could be getting close with running up to them. But
and then
I just don't
get
see
stuck with the puzzle, right?
Yeah, I just don't see Casey, Nani, and who's coming in 7th and 8th
And
each
and
time.
and
not
Nelson.
helping.
I mean, he's been doing better this season or this final for puzzles for sure, but he's not a puzzle genius at all.
You give him a world map, he'll knock it out in 3rd place. Let's do this thing.
So, I mean, on that note, CT was the first person to be able to choose, I guess, if you wanted to jump on Devon's team or not. You know, in hindsight, if he didn't do that, he had the risk of being stuck with Kyle potentially or Nelson. And I've got a feeling for some other reason, he just does not want to be in Kyle's team. Like, I think that was his biggest reason. He's not wanted to be in Kyle's team. I don't think he would have an issue that much with Nelly, because in the beginning of the season, he said Nelly was one of the sports cars that he could use to win a finale. I don't think he has a problem with Nelson physically keeping up with him. He could beast out the puzzle part of it. But I feel like he tried to avoid Kyle in this specific one because he felt like Kyle would probably jump on a team with him potentially at that point. Do you guys think he made the right decision, or what do you think his fears were in this specific scenario? Because there's a lot of talk about Devon, his endurance not being good, him not being able to run in that. But I mean, clearly CT is not, he's not a dumb person. He would have taken that into account when he made his decision where he wanted to go.
I think that he wanted to keep all the puzzle people together. I think he wanted to keep that advantage to himself instead of like, oh, if we have Devon on the other team, they might be able to make up in the puzzle department if we're not going to make up physically. So I think that that's the reason why he decided to stick with Devon, is just to keep all the male master puzzle people together. So the other cell will definitely not have that advantage, and they can make up in puzzles for what they can't make up for in stamina. So I think that's why I think he chose to be with Devon, not against Nelson or Kyle personally.
Yeah, by the way, just before you get into it, Drew, respect to Nelson for, like, I mean, I know CT was saying, hey, it's a 2-day race, blah, 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 but Nelson was outrunning everybody in that round. Like the first bit, you get behind in the puzzles, but by the time they get to the next puzzle, he's the first person there every time. It's some impressive endurance and athleticism from him. He's, impressive. I forgot how fit he is and how good he can be in a final when it comes to the running portion of it in any case.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that point you bring up, Chantel, about like put all the puzzle people together, because everybody else is like struggling and you have the two. So even if you have Devon lagging behind, if you have a puzzle, I mean, you guys are going to destroy it. So I think that's part of it. I also thought of like, it's the unknown, because he has been having this struggle with Kyle the whole season. I think if Nelson and Devon were on the platforms, and then he had to choose which person to choose from, I think he would have chosen Nelson easily. But it's the fear of the unknown, thinking that Kyle will be the next one up. He'll jump on CTs, and now he's like, great, I don't have the fastest person on my team, and also Devon is on the other team, and that if they get to a certain checkpoint or get a time start or anything, then I could be possibly screwed. And also Devon has the pool with Tori. I think Tori was always going to be on Devon's team, even if CT picked a different team. I think Tori would have went with Devon's team because they have that whole storyline together. So I think it's just the known versus the unknown of who you are going to get coming up next, because you don't want, maybe even Nani shows up. You have Kyle and then Nani showing up and then jumping on your team. Maybe you can get Casey to be coerced, but you got Nani on your team and you're sitting there going like, oh my gosh, why? She was in the 4th helicopter.
All right, guys, let's bring back up the remaining players that are left here in the game. And we have got... we've got Chantel and Drew. Finally, Drew, you are equal with one of us in numbers left in the game. And Chantel's got CT, Kyle, and Nani left in the game. Drew's got Nelson, Devon, and Emmy. And I've got Casey and Tori left in the game. Now, I guess if we had to put, like, I've got a feeling that we're going to have the teams, but it's going to split up and it's going to probably get into like a pair situation or an individual situation going to the end of the game here, where hopefully one man and one female wins this. I'd never like it when it's only one man, and it's really, really tough for women to compete when it's running up a mountain. Like the bone structure, the way that women are built, it's just not meant for them. Hats off to Jenny West doing really well as a woman, having to run up there and winning it outright, but it's not easy to do. So I like it when there's a man champion and a female champion, if it's going to be individual. Who do we think going into the finale here has the best chance. Let's put some odds on who we think is going to win this season for the men and who is going to win this season for the women, if there was a woman and man winner here at the end. And Chantal, we'll start with you. Who is your two hot picks for the end here to win and take it all?
From what we've seen so far this final, I actually think that it'll be CT and Tori that will take home the win here, just from what we've seen so far. I wouldn't be surprised if Casey ends up, coming from behind and having a new, reason to win the final. I could see that because she could overtake Tori in certain elements. And if she does get an opportunity, like I said, to be paired up with CT where they can move forward and like make a lot of ground, it is possible for her to get ahead. But right now, from what it looks like, what we've seen so far, for sure, it looks like Tori, this is her season to lose on the female side. And CT, he's in a really good position to win. Yes, he has Nelson kind of nipping at his heels, but I think that CT's experience is going to allow him to know where to kind of push and give it his all, and when to pull back and when it's necessary and whatnot. So I think CT's experience might allow him to be able to beat Nelson. So I do think CT will win this one, his back-to-back win.
Drew.
It's difficult to say. I think that CT is definitely the front runner. It's difficult. I mean, he's number 1 in checkpoint 1. He's number 2 in checkpoint 3. He's number 2 to the puzzles, just behind Nelson. It's going to be tough to beat him. I just don't think there's any way to get him purged. Even if the purple team comes in second, there's no way Devin's going to take him out on anything, I feel. And so I think he's going to be the one to look out for. I think Casey, to Chantel's earlier point, can only get the win if it is pairs and she gets paired up with CT. But if there's a portion where they have to be paired up, it's hard not to think that CT would gravitate towards Emmy since they have that chemistry. And he's thinking, I'm going to take this rookie that I've developed this relationship with and just take it all the way to the end. And of course, Emmy is going to be like, Uncle CT, you can't leave me behind, or however she sounds. But that's what I would say if I was thinking with my brain, but my heart is saying Nelly T Train. Woo-woo! I'm never gonna say no to Nelson winning. Let's go upset.
You backed him from the start. you would be able to
see
say
him winning. I see him second place.
Oh, you just got to open up that mind and just be like, yes, I can picture it. I can vision it. He's just running. It's just a foot race towards the end. It's just a quarter-mile foot race, and he just takes it. I can just see it right now.
Hey, here's the thing I will bring up. Like, I have been impressed by Nelly's ability to run in between those puzzles and still overtake some of these guys in between it. And we know the last section is going to be one hell of a run up a mountain somewhere. So he does have that potential to come back. The one thing I'm worried about is that if they do, whoever goes into this additional elimination that needs to happen, that's extra energy that they're going to exert. If it's a physical thing that they've got to go and do there, how's Nelly going to perform after having gone up against Kyle in something physical? And Kyle is a scrapper. Like, he probably will beat him, but it's not going to be easy. And how much does that affect Nelson when he goes and runs the next portion of the finale after that? So we have to keep that into consideration. I have to go with CT. I mean, the guy is a legend for a reason. He knows what it takes to do it at the end. I think he's got the best shot at winning it. I would not be upset at a Nelson win if he does win it. Like, personally, Nelson has grown on me a bit over the season. And I don't know. I'm full in on the goofiness of Nelson and his confessionals being super goofy and him being a character. I hope we see him back next season. And respect to him for standing by what his own morals is in regards to not voting against Amanda. I really enjoyed seeing that. We've seen a few seasons now where he stays loyal to his friends. So I'm okay with that. I'm not.
Does he have an ex that we wouldn't mind him playing with? I'm just trying to think of who. Like, he has had things go on, but I can't think of anybody right now.
I think he's hooked up with a bunch of people on
Berna.
Berna could. Yeah. She would be firing.
That's a good exes duo. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely, I think there'd be options there for him. And then for the females, I'm gonna go. Well, it's a tough one. Do I go with my number 1 pick from the beginning of the season, or do I go with my number 2 pick for females? I am gonna go Tori. I'm gonna agree with Chantal here. I think that Tori's just had the storyline for me. Casey hasn't had it, but that could change in the end. I don't think Emmy or Nani is winning this. I think Emmy's had a really good season. We'll probably see her back. She's going to be better off for having run a final here. But one of the things that's quite impressive is Tori's done so many of these seasons, and she mentioned this was her 3rd final that she's running. Casey's had 3 in a row. It is pretty impressive for her first 3 seasons to go every single time. So is she just better suited to the dailies and not so suited to the finale? That's something that we'll have to see. But if she does win this season, she's definitely up there with some of the better competitors for females that we've got in the current challenge world, of people that are still competing today on the proper show. And I do respect that. She's just, again, we've said it so many times, it probably has lost meaning. Not the greatest TV character that I think she's a nice person. It's just very hard to get behind her in this show because she doesn't bring a lot. So yeah, I'm Tori. Go Tori. At least she makes me feel a certain way. Sometimes I hate her. Sometimes I like her. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having that roller coaster of emotions watching Tori play the season, because it's better than not feeling anything towards the player that is in the season. So that's me on where I think things are going to go. But I think unless there's anything else you guys want to bring up here with the current season of the challenge, I think we're going to transition over to All Stars and talk about All Stars.
Nothing.
Let's have
Nothing
fun
else?
now.
Let's
Let's have fun now. Yay! Let's talk about fun stuff.
Yay! Summer break camp.
All right, so we get into the challenge All Stars 2, episode 5 here, and throughout this episode, we see a little bit of that continued tension and rivalry between Tina and Jody. We know that it's going to come to a head somewhere, and I've got a lot of opinions about this episode in regards to how Tina handled the situation, how Jody handled the situation, how everything played out in between. We've got the alliance here of Tech, Laterian, Nehemiah. On the one side of the house, they're all in the same room, and they've got Steve, who they think is very tight with them. But Steve has other plans, and he's going to do some shady things on his side to try and keep himself in the game as well. So a lot to get into, a lot to talk about going into this episode. But I think let's start it off where it ended in the previous episode, with Ayana being one of the 2 people that got the life shield, thinking she was going to be able to use it here this round, but her power gets taken away from her when it comes to the nominations, and she is voted in there and takes quite a bit of offense to the fact that she was put into a situation where she can't save Tech in this situation. There's quite a few of these old school players like Ayana and Tina that I think are struggling to adapt to the new game a little bit, and the strategy that is being used here by the players that have been around for a bit longer and have played a newer school game, like a Darrell, for instance, a great example of someone that has played both parts of the game and knows that they have to play strategically. What did you guys think about Ayana, and for the second time here, an old school player being really offended by the fact that their power is being taken away from them and not being able to save someone that they want to save within the game?
I mean, I like that it happened to Ayana, because I want her to be bitter and I want her to come back for Tori, because she won't let that go, I don't think. And so I'm interested to see Tori maybe shaking in her boots a little bit for the fact that not Tori, what's her name? Jody, shaking in her boots a little bit for the fact that Jody and Jarrell put her in. So I want to see the repercussions of this. I totally understand why Ayana was pissed. Obviously, they really figured out how to nullify that life saver. The fact that Ayana didn't think about this being a possibility, since they just did do that the previous week with Jody's lifesaver, the fact that she still thought that she was going to be able to use it no matter what if Tech was in trouble, I thought that was just kind of a little bit like, whoa, aren't you paying attention to the game that's happening right now? But I'm happy that she's probably going to be pissed off. I could see her winning a daily and having some power, and I can definitely seeing her take a shot back because she's like, okay, you crossed the line, like, or so. Like, she had some sort of analogy that I'm like, yes, go and get Jody. I'm pissed at Jody right now.
I don't think Jody's going anywhere soon, to be honest. Like, I just think that it's going to take a massive effort to get her out of the game at this point because she's going to win a lot of dailies and she's going to be good down there in the arena as well. Sorry, Drew, I jumped in there. What's your thoughts on Ayana and this whole situation that happened, and with Jody and Tina, I guess, since we started touching base on that as well, because that's what Jody wanted to happen here, this specific episode. She wanted to pay Tina back for putting her in the previous round, which is fair. You come for me, I come back for you. It's nothing personal.
It was a little personal. Let's just be real. It's a little personal. But what I love about this moment is that, so last episode, we learned that there was a 5-person alliance on both sides of the house. And as we go further into the game and moves that are happening, it just seems as though that like some people start gravitating towards different alliances. Like Jody was picked up to be in Brad and Darrell's, which of course that was going to happen because they were really close with Derek. But now Ayana doesn't like Jody. So now she likes Tech, of course, but now she's going to be brought into the Nehemiah, Tech, Latyrian alliance. Of course, Kendall, and we knew Janelle, who hasn't had a confessional since the first episode. We knew that she's very close with Darrell, but she's not technically in the alliance, but she's going to be a subcontractor in the alliance. I just love this way of going about it because it's not just like two alliances butting heads with each other. We're actually seeing it evolve and seeing like strategy and people just starting to pick up speed, kind of like a snowball going down a hill. It's just like as the game is progressing, there's two snowballs and you're just trying to see who can gravitate more players towards your side and who is more connected and everything. And I just love it because as we go further, it just seems like the house is just evenly splitting itself. And that is just going to wage war on each other. Because now, of course, the format is solos, pairs, or teams on the dailies. But really, it feels like there's two teams going at each other. And it just is exciting. The only thing is that if you keep throwing members of the other alliance against each other, one of them is going to be coming back and they're going to have a life shield, so they're going to be able to be saved. It's just having to take shots at other people or having to try to keep them safe and everything. So but I'm just excited. I just love the way this game is shaping up and how everybody is taking it in strides. When there's a shot fired, it's not like, oh, it's a personal attack, we were friends. No, this is a game and I'm going to do whatever I can to take you out, or you've shot a fire at me, or you fired a shot at me. I'm going to take a shot back at you. And I don't think anybody is worried about it either. You said Jody is you don't think Jody is going to be going anywhere because she is a strong competitor. I don't think if Ayana was in power that she would have a second thought about throwing Jody's butt in there against whoever she wanted to go up against.
But Jody's going to win.
I wouldn't even care.
But that would be so exciting because you're not worried that like, oh, if I send a shot at Jody, she's going to come back at me. I don't care. Like, Ayana doesn't care. Like, that's what's fun about this show is like, oh, you're a good competitor. I'll throw you in against Kendall and see if you can win against somebody who is strong. And I'll take at least somebody out on that side that's
You're not afraid of taking the shot.
It's awesome.
Yeah. There's no like, I mean, sloppy gameplay is entertaining to watch, you know, like it's not the correct thing to do if you want to get to the end and not have someone take that shot back at you. But then again, Ayana's a beast in her own right, so why should she be scared?
She's
you know, if she throws Jody in, then Jody throws her in next time, she wins her next elimination and she's back in the game. So that's what I like about it.
Jody might not come back again for Ayana, right?
Yeah, you're right. Jody would be the one that would be more scared between those two. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, another really exciting thing, because we had Speaking the Truth here say that, and that's fine, everybody's got their own opinion. This is the first one that he didn't like All Stars more than season 37. Now, what I will throw out there is Tech. And it's fine. Like, I mean, listen, there's been times where I felt exactly the same. Like, I'm not always going to say All Stars is better, but one of the things I really enjoy about All Stars this episode is you've got Tech being thrown down there, supposed to be the layup, supposed to be the guy that's just going to get run over, and he runs over Steve. You know, like he brings a different type of fire to the game, and he's like, if you're going to throw me down there, I'm going to bring the thunder. And I enjoy that. There's no one that just rolls over and dies in the season. And that's what I want to see because,
Well,
they don't have obligations that they need to fly back home for and other things going in. Their mind's not in it. I guess in the same sense, I should say Tina kind of threw her game away. But, I like seeing this kind of fighting spirit that we're seeing in between different people here. I love seeing this from Tech because I'm a big Tech fan. And to see him win this elimination when everything kind of went against them and they wanted to get one of those 3 out of the game, Steve turning his back on it, and it was satisfying to watch. And it was shocking to see because I did not think Tech was going to put Steve on his back because there's a big weight difference between those two guys.
I was definitely rooting for Tech. I thought that Steve, I mean, kind of Katie said it when she was leaving. She was like, Steve, you don't know how to play this game. Like, you don't get the strategy of it. Like, you're going to be out next. Like, why would you get rid of your only ally, the only person that's working with you? And then he gets brought into an alliance and they're like ready to protect him and do whatever they can to keep this group together. And then the first opportunity, well, he was last. So it wasn't like they threw him in. So he wasn't good enough to like keep himself out of elimination himself. So he gets automatically put into the arena and then he decides to go against one of the only people that are protecting him in this game. He wants to go against Tech instead of like trying to maybe rally the votes for Tyler. I just thought it was just such bad gameplay that I couldn't see the challenge gods rewarding him by a win in the arena. I was like, I don't know how Tech's going to do it, but Tech isn't going home. I couldn't see that be a reality. And I was very satisfied when Steve did not flip his switch correctly and it allowed for Tech to lap him and then eventually win in the arena. So very happy about it. Steve really disappointed me, but he just might need to have a little bit of lesson on how to play the game.
Drew, what do you think of Christina's comment here, saying that Darrell should have had the balls to take a shot at Nehemiah? Unless Tech is so much better than him at challenges, you need to take out the head. What do you think of that comment there by Christina?
I think Darrell was trying to be strategical because Nehemiah has already been in the elimination, taken out a player. I don't think he wants to make an enemy out of Nehemiah. I think he said it before that he is cool with both Derek and Nehemiah. And I think if he takes out a few of the players underneath that alliance, that maybe Nehemiah will want to come over and work with him. And then Darrell can take him out later on in the game or use him as a number to take out some of the other stronger competitors that is in his own alliance, aka Brad maybe, and throw Brad and Nehemiah against each other. That kind of thing. I also think that Tech, kind of like what Steve was saying, he wanted to go up against him. I think if you take a shot at Tech, he wasn't worried about it. Like if Tech does come back, so to speak, that he's not like, oh, well, Tech is back. I don't feel like he's going to take a real shot at me, or I'm worried that he's going to send me down to an elimination or anything. But I do agree that it would have been interesting to see Nehemiah down there alongside Steve. I think it's the same result. And I'm so happy that Tech stayed in the game. Steve ran his course. Win. Steve did everything that he was supposed to. On my team, he did everything that he needed to. He did that and more, getting as many confessionals as he did this episode and winning last episode a daily challenge. Like, that's all I could ask for. He stayed until episode 5. I thought he was going to be out in episode 2. So you know what? Thank you, Steve, but sayonara. I think Tech could help me out way better.
See you in 18 years. See you in 18 years, Steve.
Back.
So, Steve, being your lowest pick of the season, definitely probably, whatever points you were going to get for him, it's going to be a bonus, I guess, coming into this episode. And we'll look into the points soon here. I also wanted to mention the comment below here, which is quite funny. Also kind of ironic how Steve's loss was caused by his hand, which is what his career relies on, being in a hand model. Really clever pick up there. I didn't even pick that up. So we do lose Steve in the spot. I do want to talk about Tina, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opinions. Tina is a bit of an icon within the challenge, someone that a lot of people really enjoyed and wanted to see come back and play this season. People had high hopes for her, but she came across as someone that got outplayed and didn't like the rules of the game that was being played here, and she wanted to leave on her terms. As a newer school fan, I look at that a bit more critical, maybe, because I was like, I want to see people compete. I don't know if that's the same with the old, because a lot of old school people were very upset about it. I mean, MJ is old school, and he said that's just not on. You should be proving why you're this icon within the challenge and fight. I was annoyed because we could have seen someone else come back that wanted to play the game and had more fight in them to play the game here in this position. So I was not a fan of her quitting here because it was a quit instead of trying to go up against Melinda. I understand Melinda had some personal stuff going on and maybe she did like Melinda and wanted to give a win to Melinda. I will be just as critical on Nani if she walks away from this challenge against Casey. I don't like people quitting, no matter who they are. If it was CT, if it was Darrell, if it was anyone out there doing it, I would not like it. So how do you guys feel about this? You've got a lot more of, I guess, history watching the show in the early days when she was at that peak level. You probably will bring a different perspective to this than myself. Chantel, I'll start with you. What was your opinion about Tina and how she handled this situation?
Well, when it was first starting the arena and she's getting ready and she looked like she was getting geared up to start. And I was like, oh, like Melinda is going down. And then when she just kind of stood up and was like, allowed Melinda just to win, I was watching. You can probably see my reaction. It's still, I taped it. And I was just probably I was like, no, Tina, no, please. So I was very upset by the fact that she did this. I understand where she was coming from because it's it's a really hard to assimilate to this new school type of game. And I understand also falling into your old ways and how you were and her being angry before and like the dynamics that she had with people. And so I think that she was wrestling with who she was, who she is now. And if she were to bring that anger back, all the growth that she's done in these last 15 years, would that be going to waste? And so I think she was really having like a crisis within herself that she didn't want to revert back to an old version of herself. And I don't think that she was expecting that she was going to feel this way when she came back. I thought she probably thought it was going to be fun. She's going to go down. She probably thought, like, as usual in the past, like the vets had the numbers always. The vets protected vets, and whoever was more seniority was going to be staying in the game. And so I think that she got shocked that she had to play the game a little bit differently. I don't think she wanted to go against Belinda. Belinda had just gone to the hospital. I don't know if she had heard about her story that, that was the anniversary of her due date potentially of a child that she had just lost. And so she might have had also not wanted to hurt Melinda and felt that Melinda deserved to be there and at the same time. So I did not want Tina to do it. I feel like I understood why she did it. And the fact that she's coming back again for season 3 makes me hopeful and believe that maybe she's figured out how she can come back and play the game and be Tina, but not necessarily revert back to the old version of herself. So I'm going to give her a slap on the wrist and be like, Tina, don't do that again. Because, it's been a long time since she's been on the show. Maybe she needs to do a little bit of homework, see how she can come back and play this new school game and win. I think she was just really out of her element.
And she didn't have any real friends that she had played with before as well. So probably a lot of loneliness being out there, knowing that she was outnumbered. I mean, Jody was doing okay socially, getting taken in by Brad and Darrell, and by proxy of those guys, probably had a few more people that had her back in the game. I don't like it, Drew, but this is the game that was played, and I like it less knowing that Tina's coming back, because if you took yourself out of the game because you felt like the game brought this side out of you, and you didn't feel like you wanted to be a part of that anymore, why come back the next season here in All Stars 3? She's rumored to be back in that cast.
Yeah, I'm confused more than anything. I did a season 3 All Stars rumor cast video, and I was like, cool, she's going to be back. And then after watching the first couple episodes, I was like, I'm excited for this. But after the banging of the pots and pans, calling everybody fake, saying everybody watch your back, and then to seemingly quit, and then to know she's on the next season is baffling to me, of the challenge to be like, yeah, you can come back if you want to after pulling this. And for her to be coming back so soon after this, and then also to have possibly Veronica on the season with you, which I would think that would just bring up the other side more, since that was somebody who you were very buddies with, and you were in what was known as the Mean Girl Alliance, and you're sitting here going like, I don't want to be the mean girl anymore, or I don't want to be that side of me. But I don't know. Maybe they do turn a leaf, and maybe they do play the game differently together, and maybe she feels better having Veronica in the game and to bounce ideas off of. But yeah, it's just weird. I was so hesitant to put -2 for disqualification on that elimination, but I did not. Because it was a pure quit. I mean, but it was frustrating. It's frustrating overall, in my opinion. But
and listen, Tina's still going to have her fans.
Woo!
And Tina's still going to have her fans, right?
You
She's got
didn't-
Dr. Phil here saying
He was supposed to be
Bestie.
gone, Drew. Like that was like saving grace there. That like Tina quit.
Still here.
just says
Whatever.
that Tina's elimination move was all about her ego. If she wanted Melinda to feel good, Tina would have at least gave the illusion that Melinda earned the win by competing in it. And Dr. Phil asking if Kenny and Evan is on next season. I don't think either one of those two
They'll
are on
never
next
be back.
season and they've been, from rumor and knows that they've been blacklisted by the challenge and won't come back. So do a bit of reading up on that. We won't spread anything further on this podcast, but go read up on why they're not currently on any of the challenge seasons anymore, because Kenny is like 33 or 34. He's not even that old,
he's
right?
older than that. He's born in,
I think
I think he's born in like 86, maybe.
35 then, about. Yeah. So anyways, we move on and we talk about the rest of the things that happen here in this episode. Casey being one of those people that got extremely lucky, didn't complete the challenge with the trampolines, which, by the way, loved the daily challenge, loved the trampolines. It looked like something I would enjoy doing myself if I was playing the challenge, jumping up and then having to get these puzzle pieces at the top. And Casey gets one of them, but then continues to fall badly after that. And she says that she was nearly drowning a few times down there when she went. And she also goes back into old habits and quits this challenge, saying she'll take her chances in the arena rather than complete it. And we've got to be fair, Casey's in my team. I'm shouting for Team Casey all the way this season. But again, she quit here in this specific scenario when other people went through similar struggles, but still continued on. And she gets extremely lucky here that Melinda is disqualified from, I guess, competing, and medically disqualified from completing the challenge. Otherwise, she would have been down there in that specific spot. Overall, what were you guys thinking of Casey's performance and overall this daily as a whole? Because there were quite a few people that looked like they were struggling. It wasn't just her. It was also Janae a couple of times. She got back up. Jasmine, which had probably the moment of the episode, showing her kids not to quit when she kind of felt like she took a couple of hard hits there in the water. And then Melinda being medically disqualified. And Chantal, I know you're always heavy on the safety aspects of these challenges. What were your thoughts in regards to this challenge as a whole? I really enjoyed it, but it did look like quite a few people were struggling on this.
Yeah, I thought it was a good challenge, but it just seemed like for some of the smaller girls that those puzzle pieces were too far out for them to be able to easily slap them down. And I think that's in the design portion of it. Like it just seemed very hard for somebody that's like 5 feet tall to jump up and hit that. And when you're not able to hit that, you're going to fall awkwardly and very easily like knock yourself out. And so I think it was kind of dangerous that they didn't make it as easy for anybody at any sort of height level to be able to jump and get those puzzle pieces down. But for what they had to do, I like the fact that they had these trampolines and they had to go jump down, hit the puzzle pieces. They had to do it multiple times, so they're going to get tired, which is great. I like that people have an opportunity to do well or catch up. And then they had a puzzle at the end. So I love any kind of challenge that has multiple elements that people can excel in certain bits or excel at all of them, but like it has an opportunity for everybody to do decently well, except for short women, it seems. So I wish that it was a little bit more fair in that regard. But on a whole, I thought it was a good challenge. With the Jasmine and Casey of it all, I was just like, Casey, you had me rooting for you last week. Like, why'd you take that away from me? I was like, oh, whatever. I hope that Casey goes home then. If like she's gonna just quit like that and be like, I'll try my hand at the arena. It's like, okay, Casey.
True.
Yeah. I mean, this season may lack in explosions, but they make up for it with trampolines upon trampolines upon trampolines. Literally.
And heights over water.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with Chantal with the women were having a much more difficult time during this. I mean, Tech was going up against John A, and Tech was just easily jumping up. His head was like going over the puzzles and just absolutely destroying them, where John A was having troubles getting to the block. She actually had to just do it one line at a time for each block. So it looks like she had to do it like 6 times to go up those trampolines to get all the puzzle pieces, whereas majority of the men just had to do it 3 times, or if you're Steve, you do it twice and then you swim a huge lap to go get that puzzle piece. And be if Jasmine had the moment of the day, which she does, Steve had the bonehead play of the day, which was getting those 2 blocks down at the same time and being like, yeah, this is a big risk, but I'm going to take it. And then it just being taken off in the current, just bye block. You could take Steve with you, I guess, because he's going to be sailing away too.
I was wondering about that though. Couldn't he have gone up and like done the trampoline bit and at least be a little bit closer to the puzzle piece? Or did he had to like swim from the shore to go get it?
I think he had to swim from the shore to go get it. I think he had to leave one of them in there in the water because Darrell or someone was shouting at him, you can't bring both back at the same time.
Tech.
He went, or Tech, yeah, and he came in with one of them, and the way it looked like he had to go back and go get it afterwards.
Yeah, I know he had to go get it, but I was just thinking that it might have been faster for him to go and like go do the trampoline bit and at least like jump towards where the puzzle piece was, but I couldn't really tell where the puzzle piece was floating.
Well, I think what Steve was thinking is that I'm going to save time by not having to go up the stairs again, and I'll just go swim out and get the puzzle piece. So he's not going to sit there and go like, this was a bad idea. I'm going to go up the trampoline again to get to the puzzle piece quicker. I'm just going to go straight from the shore to get the puzzle piece, even though it is 4 out away, going out, drifting into the middle of the whatever ocean that is around there. I can't remember. The Gulf of Mexico. They're in Cancun, right? I don't know where Cancun is.
Is that where they are?
Yeah.
Oh, P.S. Kenny's born in 1983, so he's 38.
Oh, there we go. Also, Adrienne says here that Tina leapfrogging her way to the puzzle pieces was amazing to see.
Awesome.
Obviously, TJ gave her a little bit of stick for that, which was always funny to watch. And definitely there's moments that Tina brought that made the show really good. I mean, we're probably better off for having her here. It's just the whole thing about her coming back after quitting because the show makes her feel bad about where she is. I'll have to get my head around that, but I don't want to judge her before I see her in season 3 and what she brings to the show, at that point.
One thing I like though with like her leapfrogging and TJ giving her a little bit for it, is that she's not afraid to like give it back to TJ. And that's another thing that I appreciate about these old school players is that TJ isn't somebody that's above them. They're kind of, they're on the same level. They're colleagues. They've been doing this the same amount of time. And so like she's not scared of TJ. So she's like, shut up, TJ, you do it, TJ. I want to like, she's like, give it back to him, which I like that. And I think he does too. Like, I think he likes having this banter with all these players, as opposed to people like being like, oh, Mr. TJ. Like, I don't think he feels comfortable in being in that position. I think he likes being at same level as these players.
Yeah. Google Gobble here says that at least Casey tried a couple of times before she gave up, before she might not have even done it at all. And Christina also agrees there with her. So a little bit of growth there from Casey. I'm not going to be too down on her for this specifically. I mean, there's going to be many more dailies that she hopefully will complete and will not be a weakness of hers like this one specifically was. But overall, we see that it gets very close between Brad and Darrell here. And Brad, he has spoken to the camera strategically a lot this season. We were talking about, hey, Nelly is getting some of the strategic talk on Challenge 37. It looks like Brad is being seen as the one that talks about reason here from the start. He made a comment early in the season when Derek and Jody got the power that you don't want to be the first people to get power and show your hand. And again, here he's saying when he knows that it's between him and Darrell, he'd much rather have Darrell get the smoke coming his way by getting this win because Darrell is going to make the moves that's also going to benefit him. I'm starting to get very strong vibes from Brad here. I think you made a really good pick picking Brad as your first male pick here this season, Drew, he's going to go deep. And I feel like the show wants us to see him as someone that is on the right side of how things are going to play out this season quite a lot. And they're giving him a lot of confessionals. And he is looking in pretty good shape. He's doing well in these dailies. Do you guys think that I am up, Schitt's Creek without a paddle in regards to what I'm thinking? Or do you think that there is some merit to my thinking here that Brad could be an undercover finalist, potential winner at this stage? I hate throwing these things out so early because I'm normally wrong when it comes to the challenge edits, but he's looking pretty good at the moment, the way that the show is portraying him.
I don't see Brad being the winner, unfortunately. Just from what I've seen him do in the past, like he's always going to be the person that someone's going to throw in. He does mess up sometimes, and so I just don't know if he's going to be able to stay in this power position. He saw he was very eager to be like, "Hey, Jody, you want to work with me?" Like he wants to really get protected and insulated by like having I keep calling her Jody on her his side, and so I think that's because he knows that he's kind of vulnerable. He's kind of left a little bit open there, even though he is in this group. I can easily see Nehemiah wanting to call him out and get him to go down. Like, I think that he's trying to protect himself, and I think that he will be more likely to go out before any of the other guys in that side. So I don't necessarily see him winning.
So a lot of the players that have not gotten as many confessionals doubled their confessionals this time around, and Brad was one of those players. I think being in the alliance and having that strategy talk really helped bring out more of his character and more of the way he views this game. I have to agree with Chantel that it's difficult. I'm on the Brad train. I'm not gonna lie. But it is difficult knowing his past and how he can let things get to him a little bit eagerly, or he makes some boneheaded moves here or there. Maybe with the beard comes wisdom. Maybe he pulls a Gandalf.
That's what it is. That's why I'm suddenly believing in him. It's the beard. It's got me hypnotized.
It's the beard that makes him look wise. But yeah, I'm hoping that he gets more confessionals. But like we were talking about earlier, like what I was like rambling on and being all gushy about and giddy all about these alliances, is that they're not afraid to take shots at each other. So it's like, if I can see Jody getting thrown in, I can see Brad getting thrown in, or Darrell possibly getting thrown in, or Nehemiah getting thrown in yet again. It's like they're going to be taking shots at each other, and they're not going to always, kind of like how Darrell did it this time. He was like beating around the bush, but still taking a shot at the alliance. I don't think a lot of players will always continuously not go for the head honchos or the three-headed monster, or the three kings, as they were calling each other in this episode. So it's going to be a hard-fought season, I think, and I think there's going to be a lot of people being taken shots at, and it's going to be the strongest to survive. I mean, Brad's strong physically, but if he gets one wrong puzzle or something, I can see him tripping up, and you don't want to get too much in Brad's head or put his underwear over his head and make it a necklace.
Brad is like Nelson, very clumsy and always in second place, guys. So maybe that's what's happening here. Drew keeps picking the Nelly T type of guys, and then slowly but surely they grow on me over the seasons as it goes on. Drew, I do want to get into we said, it's the wisdom, the beard with the wisdom. I do want to get into the points here, Drew. What happened in regards to the points here, and have we had some shakeups in the rankings? I believe going into last week, you were ahead with myself in second and Chantal in third, with yourself and Chantal having swapped places from the week before that. Do we see more of a shakeup here in this round, or where is the point sitting currently for this season?
I will say there was a ton of points, both won and lost. There was a lot of confessionals happening. Sorry to say, not with Janelle, but there was a lot of points being lost between Casey and Melinda, both being DQ'd, but then there were some points being won because of the daily challenge and the elimination win. And like I said, a lot of players that haven't gotten a lot of confessionals were doubling it. Like Steve doubled it before he was leaving. Tech also doubled his confessionals over the course of the past 4 episodes, which blew my mind. I thought Tech would be in every confessional going forward in these episodes. So when it comes down to it, only 1 point separates third and second place at this moment. Chantal had a huge resurgence from only having like 112 points last last week. She got 137 points now, with Jody as her front runner at 37. Everybody else is in the teens, with Latyrian not getting a lot, Janelle, Tyler, and MJ. Sad to say that he's only gotten 15 points and 15 confessionals. Chris is in second place with 138 points, only 1 point at the moment. Darrell is your leading scorer at 31. He's tied with the same amount of points as Derek, who has already left the game from last week. So luckily you have somebody in the 30s. The lowest person that you have is Kendall, with only 5 confessionals on the season. I think that was in episode 1 / maybe 1 or 2 in the last couple of ones. And then I am in a bit of a lead with 165 points. Nehemiah is at my highest score, is at 37. Ayana is really pulling it here with the past couple of episodes, with a lot of confessionals, elimination wins with 26. At this moment, the top scoring man and woman, because this is the halfway point, the top scoring man and woman at this point is Jody and Nehemiah, both at 37. I'm just happy, not personally, because Tina was fun to watch, but with Tina gone, there's not as many confessionals. She had 31 points, and you would have probably still been gobbling up all those points. But Ayana got 26, and then the other scores that I have are Tech and Brad. Like I said, doubled their confessionals, but they were both like sub 10 coming into this episode, and they were able to jump up close to 20. But we have to see what's going to happen. It's week to week. It depends on who's in power, who can win these eliminations. If there's going to be a team win, that's going to really shake up the numbers, I feel. And then who's going to be winning eliminations, because right now, the past 2 weeks, I've had 3 of my players in the eliminations and possibly going home in the eliminations. The 3 of the 4 players going into the eliminations, and I've only lost 1 person each week. So I take that as like I just barely missed some fired shots. Like I could easily have like 3 people left, 1 person left, like 3 people or 4 people left. But I'm counting my prayers that I only have 2 people gone. I find that very blessing, especially with Tina like bowing down this week to Melinda.
Yeah, Melinda should have been gone there.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Melinda wins. and I'm very proud of Tech, but yeah, it's anybody's game. I mean, anybody, like I said, anybody could get a shot taken at them, easily be taken out of this game. At one point they're in power, the other point they're pulling a KC, quitting, and then going straight into the elimination. And it just depends on who's in power and everything. But yeah, it's very exciting to watch and see all these numbers like fluctuate and everything. But as we get further into the game, I just feel like everybody's just going to start piecing into the season and where their spot is. And then we're going to see the true players start coming forward and be prevalent as we head towards the finals and the back half of the season. So it's still anybody's game.
Yeah, and I think it's a way better way doing it this way with the draft picks that we have than what we did with season 37, because at least anything can still happen, even if you've got a slight lead on us there with the amount of people that are still left in the game. Wins are going to count for more towards the end here. You know, there's a few people that have not spoken. We know that they're going to have to go into the arena pretty soon to defend themselves. Like you said, that's going to shake up the points. So really excited to see how that is going to play out. Now, guys, is there anything we didn't touch on here in this episode that you guys wanted to bring up? I did see Tatiana here in the chat say that her favorite line of the night was, Tina, do you want some green tea? When she got really upset. And there was a lot of different people there, which it was quite funny. You know, even Jasmine saying, I'm getting too old for this shit. You know, like there's a lot of people that just seemed like they just didn't want to play a game or have these kind of fights anymore because they kind of feel like they're past it. Did you guys get that vibe as well, Chantel?
Okay, with the Jasmine, like this is the second time she's kind of like been coming down on Tina for being loud and for being, and for being, oh, like I'm too old for this. We've seen already that she's going to crack. Like, so like the fact that she's playing, like pretending like, oh my God, I'm so much better than this now. Like Jasmine's coming out to play. I know, I could see it. I could feel it. We've seen it in the previews. Like, I think it's all a little bit of an act. And I don't
wait for it.
Me too.
Give me the points.
Yeah.
Give me the points.
Oh no, she's gonna be so good. She's not gonna dance on any poles anymore. But yeah, I heard a rumor though that she even has a little hookup with somebody, and I have no idea who it could potentially even be.
That's interesting because
I've heard the other people.
She's married,
obviously.
isn't she?
Yeah, well,
Material?
there's a few hookups that are supposed to be happening. I don't know if it's on this season or next season. But I recently heard Jasmine is also somebody that might have had a little something going on. But I was like, with who? Everybody else is taken,
I'm
or
calling it Letarian.
Letarian is taken already. So
really?
yeah.
Tech
Apparently.
money.
That's what I was like. Is it
Maybe.
like Tech? Is it Tech or Nehemiah?
I wouldn't pass it. I wouldn't put it past Tech, you know. I definitely wouldn't put it past them. All right. So yeah, that was quite
I got
funny
my
to watch.
green
What was
tea
your
for
you got your
Tina.
green tea?
I got my green tea for Tina.
I don't want any green tea.
I think that green tea saved Melinda. I won't lie. I think that green tea line
Calmed her
really
down.
saved Melinda. She was very nice to her. So thank you,
Might
Melinda.
be $1 million,
Thank you, green tea.
$500,000 line that she used there with the green tea.
Melinda's not winning this season.
You never know. Melinda train. I'm
No,
on all
get
different
off
types of
it,
trains. I
get
got so
off
many
the
tickets.
Melinda. I mean, I do really like Melinda, and I liked her in this episode. I felt for her in this episode. I want to see her do well. I love the fact that she's like, still was running it, and it was just like, you know, I really want to show people what I could do. And but anyways, in the end, she's like, a win's a win, and that's true. She got a win in elimination, so I'm happy that's happened for her. But I could see her going down again, especially since she's on the inferior, you know, side of the house. They have less numbers on that King's Palace. I don't know if they have all the winning players for the dailies, so I feel like they're not going to be in power as much as the other side of the house is. So I can very easily see Melinda going in again. So I don't know how
Drew's
lucky
celebrating.
she'll be the next time.
I was going to say, Adrian, Drew's celebrating.
Tech
He's
and
very
Melinda.
happy.
First win. Woo! Tech
Yep.
train.
Jess here says that it feels like all of Kendall's attention last season is going to Jodie this season, and that Jodie's getting that similar kind of edit
see
that
that.
Kendall had. Yeah, and I can see that as well, definitely. I mean, Kendall's been so quiet this season, but I'm just patiently waiting to see who's going to call her down. Like, do we see a Kendall versus Jodie potential elimination happening? That could be interesting to watch because, you know, Kendall, she could still win some eliminations, but she also might strategically be in such a position with Darrell and them. If that side of the house gets the power, she might never even go down in an elimination before we get to the finale, because we've only got 3 episodes left probably before we start going into finale. So only 3 eliminations to avoid.
Well, yeah, but I can see though, like Nehemiah being like, "Well, we need a strong girl to take out Tori." Or why am I calling her Tori today? Oh my god, get
Jodie.
Tori off my brain, Jody. It's Jody. Like,
Tori's
Jody.
rubbing off on you, Chantal.
No!
Next season, Chantal's coming in here and she's going to be all about that Tori love, and it's going to be like, Tori's
Tory
my
train.
favorite.
That's
I've always been-
true. That's Drew's on the Tory train. Jody, though, they're gonna be like, who's gonna be able to take out Jody? Who is it? Maybe we're gonna have to put up Kendall. That would definitely weaken Darrell. Like, they might be thinking in that way, for sure. So I could see those two be putting up against each other because they're both the strongest women on that side. Absolutely. I do remember seeing in kind of like the previews, I've seen Janelle is down there at one point. And so I'm wondering who Janelle's going to be going up against, which will be interesting since we haven't seen much of her this season. So I'm
Just
wondering
a quick one on the Nehemiah logic that you're using there. So Nehemiah felt bad about being the reason Tech went home the previous season. He's also the reason that Kendall went home
That's
the
true.
previous season because he called her down when she was safe. So is there a part of him that, and I know he's not playing it for his friends this season, but I've got a feeling there has to be some sort of a mutual respect. Listen, I brought you in here. I put you in danger when you shouldn't have been in danger. I'm not going to come for you potentially. I don't know we've never seen the relationship between the two of them, but you know, that might be enough to just make him hesitate in taking him down. I think that there's a high likelihood we see Ayana and Jodie go up against each other because people are going to look at Ayana as the person to take her out because she's won so many of these eliminations so far, and she's a bit of a juggernaut. You know, it's all about momentum.
I don't see that happening just for the sole fact that we were talking about the house splitting up, that if Nehemiah, say, is in power and Jody is up on the block, or he's putting up Jody, he doesn't want to put somebody who he views as an ally or a number for his side. And if he's very strong with Tech and Ion is very strong with Tech, I don't think he would want to jeopardize one of his numbers. He would much rather throw in Kendall. And to your point, I think there is a mutual respect, but he also sees her as the opposition. The number is on Darrell's side, and Darrell is now the head of the snake or the three-headed monster, whatever you want to call it. He's one of a different king in a warring castle, whatever we're doing with this metaphor or alliance names. So to me, I think he would feel a little bad because of what happened last season, but we've seen Nehemiah just like go off. Like, he is just cutthroat this season. He doesn't care if you're in his alliance one day. If you talk bad about somebody the other day, you're gone. Like, we want you out of here. So I think he's ready and willing to throw in Jody versus Kendall and take out a very strong competitor on the opposition side.
Yeah. Adrian asks here, how many episodes are going to be this season? It's 10 episodes as far as
10.
I'm aware, right? Similar to the
10.
previous season. And we also have Christy asking, is Chantel doing a reality realness tonight? Yes, it will be straight after this, right?
Probably about 10:30 Eastern. But yes, Michelle and I will be going live to talk about this episode a little bit more.
Chris is your producer. He's like, isn't
yeah, you're on the clock. You're on the clock, Chantel.
It's running a little late, don't you think, Chantel?
It's not my fault for making this one drag on at all. Definitely not my fault. Guys, I think that's pretty much it for this episode, unless there's anything else you guys wanted to bring up. Really excited to watch the next episode for the Challenge 37, where we will be crowning a new champion for the challenge, or champions, maybe, wishful thinking, for the Challenge Season 37. And we're going to continue to recap these episodes for the Challenge All-Stars, which have been a lot of fun to do. So, but I won't lie, I am going to look forward to recapping one episode at a time instead of trying to like fit two of them into the same podcast. But really excited to talk to you guys next week as we close the chapter on Challenge 37. Drew, Chantal, anything you guys want to add to this episode, or you're happy to close it there? We'll go over to you, Drew. Drew, what's happening on the Angel Cake channel over the next week?
We're going to be doing the reviews and recaps, Tiny Table Talks, of course, and I'll be doing some lives coming out. I'm doing a season review with Angie and Chris, Angie and Charles, two of my very close friends that I do a lot of lives with. We're doing it Sunday, the 18th, right after that week's episode, and we're just going to fit it in because there's a lot of holiday stuff going on. So we just want to like talk about the season, get it over with, and then put it behind us, even though the reunion is going to be coming up. And yeah, this month I'm going to be doing videos, but also taking a lot of time to organize for the next year, the new year, and of course the off season. That's going to be huge. I think it's going to be like 3 or 4 months. So I just got to really time out my videos. I'm going to try to do like 3 or 4 videos a week, which is going to be a lot, but it's going to be fun. And yeah, gotta get ready for Joe Millionaire. That's really going to be the spicy new show that's going to be coming out and hitting everybody.
We should do it together.
Done.
I'm thinking of covering it.
I was going to say, Drew, you've got to be careful about telling people that you're going to have some free time for 3 or 4 months, because we'll drag you into some podcasts.
I'm only like, okay, but like Amazing Race is coming up. Okay.
Well,
Joe Millionaire.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I was going to ask you guys to be drug over to my channel a few times here or there. Maybe do some lives, do some challenge tea. Do some challenge debates, which I was thinking of during this during this recap and talking and everything. Sorry if I wasn't paying attention 100%, but I just had ideas flowing through me. But yeah, I think it's fun.
Speaking of ideas, though, when are we going to do our Survivor after the season roundup?
When's the finale episode? It'll be next week,
Wednesday,
right? So
yeah.
Wednesday next week. So I've just
finales
been asked,
for everything.
Yeah, so I've just been asked by Adam to join Adam and Gideon for a Survivor Buffs retrospective, and that will be next week Sunday. So I think the week after that we'll fit something
That's
in
kind
where
of far. No?
You reckon? Or maybe midway into after, because I just don't want to overlap with the Buffs too much, because they'll do these on the Saturday. And we could probably do ours the following Wednesday. I'm happy to do it because I'd love to get all of us into it, and maybe Riley, my co-host for the Survivor Worldwide, with us as well. And we'll do a little bit of a retrospective, since we've promised this live that we will do it. I definitely still want to do it, so we just got to fit it in. So
the 22nd, you're thinking.
Yeah,
maybe.
let's do something like that, so it's not all on exactly the same time. So that way we've got the 18th, the Survivor Buffs, and myself doing a retrospective, and then on the 22nd, if you guys are open to that day, we'll jump on, and it'll be us And if it works out for Riley, who's my Survivor worldwide co-host, he'll jump in as well. If he can't make it, then us three, that's the priority. We'll definitely do it that week, because I am looking forward to talking about it, and I'm sure I will have a lot to talk about even after talking to both Gideon and Adam about this season as well. Hoping we get a good ending here to the season.
I was going to say, I think it's a good thing that we're taking a few days after the final, because if something crazy goes on, like somebody brings out another hourglass or Deal or No Deal boxes again, and that's why 3 of the last whatever players are left goes and joins the jury, I think I would just need to take that time to like woosah, like relax.
I'm calling it now. Someone's getting
I'd be so
Someone's getting a life shield, and the life shield in the game is going to, even though they get voted out right at the end here, it's going to give them an automatic ticket into season 42, and they're going to be the surprise castaway on season 42, and they're going to move straight into that season.
Before we vote, everybody put your hands in the middle. Jeff is going to do bubblegum in a dish. And if you lose it, you're out. You're not even a part of the jury. Like, I'm just waiting for this.
Literally musical chairs in tribal council. And like, they're going to put the music, and like, everybody's like going around. And whoever, that's person out of the game.
And even if you win immunity, you don't have it. You have to keep going around. Like I broke an hourglass earlier.
Doesn't mean anything to win immunity anymore. Chantal, over to you. What do you have coming up on Reality Realness with 3 S's over the next week?
Everything is wrapping up, which is going to be nice to be able to like maybe take a little bit of a break and see what like how I want to enter in 2022, which I can't even believe it's 2022. I thought last week was like 2019, so I don't know where the last 2.5 years or 2 years have gone. I have no idea. But I am going to be doing a wrap up on The Bachelorette. So Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Tanya and I will be talking about who Michelle picks. And after the final rose, all that jazz. Then we're going to go live after the challenge. So I'm not competing with anybody going live after Survivor. We're going to do the challenge. So I don't know if anybody will be on watching with us, but then we'll do on Thursday. We'll go live at 7 p.m. for us to do on Reality Realness our recap of the finale episode of Survivor. And then back here with you guys on Friday talking about the finale episodes and episode 6 of All Stars. And that, I think, is it. I might at some point throw in an entire recap of the most recent season of Selling Sunset with my best friend Anna, who she's an actress, so she's like kind of like she's a famous actress, whatever, but she never watches reality TV. So we're gonna see if we can get her to watch Selling Sunset with me, and then come and podcast for the whole season. So that might come out within the next week, which will be kind of fun.
Nice. So staying busy here right until the end of the year, right up until Christmas, pretty much, and it's the same for us. So here on Reality Pop, we've got the Survivor season 41 that's wrapping up. Like I said, I will be on the podcast to do the retrospective with Adam and Gideon on Saturday next week, and that should be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But prior to that, I will also be back on the Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with these guys to talk about everything on the challenge. And also have a look out for Drew, who's been doing the Survivor Hot Takes that's dropping every week as well. And we will still be around going into the holiday period here to talk about the Challenge All-Stars as we finish the rest of the season. Really looking forward to that. Should be fun to talk about one episode at a time. It's been a hell of a busy year, but we've got a lot coming up here on Reality Pop for next year as well in 2022. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully more events, more shows to start joining in on the Reality Pop YouTube channel as well. So please subscribe, hit the like button, and keep following us for more content. As always, guys, everybody that was in the live stream here asking questions and being very active, we thank you very much. It's great to see the same names pop up every week here with us as we talk about the show that we love to watch and talk about. See you guys next time again on the Challenge Insiders